Big Island.
Hey, aloha, everybody. Jeff Reinebold, and this is the Jeff Reinebold Show. We are back, and I got to tell you what, Mike, there's a swell coming in. The waves are going to be outstanding today. So at the end of this show, you can say sayonara to me because I'm going to get in the water. But until we get in the water, let's talk a little football today.
Jeffrey, my man. Week 7 is upon us, and this is the first show we've had since you've sold out Cork in Ireland. Are you like me, like a proud father? I nearly cried. I'm buzzing, man. Bring it on.
You know what? That's amazing. We've already sold out 2. We got 6 tour stops in Ireland. We've sold out 2. And I know we're real close to selling out a few more of them. And I want to sell out all 6. I want to really make this a tremendous event, not just a show, but an event. And we want to spend some time on the ground trying to help grow the amateur game around Ireland and work with the Irish Federation and the local teams. And, it's going to be a blast. And it's all brought to you by 888 Sport, the official gambling partner of the National Football League in Ireland and the UK, and the sponsor of this show. My man, what did you have? What did you take away from week 6? What was your biggest takeaway, Mike, of week 6?
Week 6 was that crazy that my hair fell off, as you can see, for people on the podcast. For people in the podcast, happy Friday. It's hard. I really like the Jaguars and how they've sort of shut everybody up in the whole, like, oh, they were in London and all this crap. Like, there's actually media in Buffalo saying that they were slow because they were in London. It was a week after. That's rubbish. Look, the Jags look great, and this siphons in beautifully to our first pick in our pick show here. Jags, Saints, Thursday Night Football. Is there any word yet on if Trevor Lawrence is good to go or not, Jeff? Have you seen?
No, I have not heard anything, and I've put my feelers out to the NFL people I know, and it's a really, really well-kept secret right now. And, that's going to be obviously a huge key for them. But if he plays...
He expects to play. Pat McAfee, who I trust, he expects to play.
Well, if he plays, then I'm gonna take the Jags because I think they're on a roll. They're starting to play defense. He's got a bunch of weapons on offense, and he can get the ball to all of them. They're a very good football team right now, and I think they're a team that, again, if they get hot and they stay healthy, that's a team that can make a run into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs, I think. So I'm going to take them. I don't like the Saints. I think the Saints, are good enough on defense, too up and down on offense, too reliant on Carr. I don't see balance in that football team. I don't see, when you talk about playing complementary football where every phase plays to the other phase, I don't see it as much in the Saints. And I would take the Jags. I think they're hot.
I'm going to take the Jags as well. Even if Trevor Lawrence isn't playing, I'm going to take the Jags for the crack. For people watching this live, thank you for watching this live. Hi, Fred. How are you doing? Please drop some comments, some questions in the comments, and we will go into them in our mailbag podcast coming up in a bit. So that's Thursday Night Football, Jeffrey, and we're getting ahead to Sunday's action, some clinkers of games. Game on your compadres at Sky Sports. The Lions go to the Ravens. Ravens obviously opting to not take the bye week post-London. Me and my new best friend, John Harbaugh. Jeff, I have the Ravens beating the Lions. I get the hype. I get the momentum around the Lions. I think it's obviously, in my generation, it's the best Lions team ever in my lifetime as a fan. But I think the Ravens have got a bit of momentum. I think home field advantage has got a big pull here. And I think if they get some points on the board, the Lions defense will struggle to stop Lamar Jackson. I'm going to take the Ravens to beat the Lions in a tight one, 24-21.
Well, I'm going to go against you on this one, Michael, because the Lions are for real. They're 5-1, tied for the best record in the National Football League. And when you look at them as a football team, Goff is playing extremely well. Goff's playing better than anybody thought he could play. There's a guy that, they threw away in Los Angeles. He was discarded as a guy that'll never win the big game for you. And I think he's played extremely well since he got to Detroit. Detroit has a very, very, very good offense and a defense that's better than advertised. They're tough, they're physical, they're resilient. I think that's just the kind of team you got to be to beat the Ravens. And again, the Ravens play great defense, but they're still sorting it out a little bit on offense. I'm taking the Lions.
You're taking the Lions. Second game is your Raiders going to Chicago and playing the Bears. Jeff, I'm taking the Bears.
Not. Come on now. Come
I
on now.
am. I actually am. I think this week we're going to have a few upsets, a few shocks, and I don't know what it is. Is it Soldier Field? Is it people freaking out? Is it Jeff losing his internet halfway through this conversation potentially? But thank God you came back, Jeff. I'm taking the Bears. I'm sorry, I'm taking them.
Well, you can take them all you want to take them, but they're not going to win the game. The Raiders are going to go in there and they are going to take care of business. Um, I think it was really cool the other day when you saw the Mad Stork or whatever we want to call Max Crosby. He made a play at the end of the game that was just, I mean, Mike, that guy amazes me, right? He amazes me. He plays so hard. He plays every play like it's the last play he's going to play. He's so slippery. You can't block him. He's kind of unorthodox he's all head and shoulders and, long arms. But I'll tell you what, he makes plays, and he's really the catalyst for that whole football team. I know that they've got some issues, on offense and how's Garoppolo and all that kind of stuff, but I just can't see the Raiders, even as disappointing as I can be in the Raiders sometimes, I can't see the Raiders losing to that mess that is Chicago.
I must shout out the Panthers, the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Titans, and the Jets are all on bye weeks this week. Jeff, for people not watching this but listening to this, you've got a computer right in front of you. We might talk about that at some point. Staying on the Bears very quickly. The Bears have got marketing rights in Spain, and it would only be right of us to discuss the possibilidad of I can't even say a game. Look, it's a really poorly kept secret at the minute that it looks like Madrid's going to get a game next year. Esta de la Loca, should they play it on Lunes, maybe, Jeff, as well?
No, that would be too much. That would be too much for me to take. Oh God, that would be painful. I think the fact that the Bears have the marketing rights to Spain, and I think that you look at there has been football in Spain for a long time. Barcelona Dragons, all the way since the early
Luis
'90s,
Jones.
as part of the NFL Europe situation that we had, and Madrid just got a team in the European League of American Football. I think they've had local clubs there for 40 years, so there is some football in Spain, and there is some desire to watch the game. But you got to remember, even if there's no local indigenous football, it's the National Football League, and it's the big circus when it comes to town. You saw it. You're going to see it again when you go to Frankfurt in a couple of weeks. And Mike, I just think that the Spanish people are going to enjoy it. They're going to embrace it, and it's going to be a huge success. Again, one more piece of evidence that this is a global game, and the NFL needs to look hard at expansion globally.
La passion for the NFL. I'm buzzing. I personally think, and I have no say in this, but I have a couple of mates that work heavily with El Mundo NFL, and I can't say their names or they'll kill me. And it seems nailed on. I would expect the Bears to have a big opponent if it was the Bears. I don't know if it's going to be the Bears, but there are obviously El Whisperos that it could be the Bears, Jeff. I think you'll see a Germany-like situation where they get a big opponent. But obviously, one is still on. Your man, Sean Gales, over there as well, Jeff.
Yep, and Sean will be on the ground working for his Bears. Obviously, he'll do a great job. The thing about when you bring a team over, and especially when you're going into a new territory, you want to have a team with a high profile in that game. Now, the Bears have a high profile. They do, because of when so many people in the 80s, the 85 Bears and Refrigerator Perry and Walter Payton and Jim McMahon and all of that, they've always been good theater in Europe. And I think that their iconic, C on their helmet, the whole thing is perfect. Now bring them a great opponent, a high profile opponent, and I think you have the makings of a fabulous football experience in Madrid.
Some great questions coming in. We'll get to them in the podcast. Thank you. And yes, Jeff, time will tell. And don't just settle for the Bernabeu. I heard it's not concrete. That's all I can say about getting fired on my own podcast. Jeff, we're going to have to roll through a couple of games here, my friend, but I look forward to seeing you and John Sutcliffe in Madrid next year. The Browns at the Colts.
Browns.
Yeah.
That Browns defense
Here we go,
is
Brownies.
nasty.
Here we go.
We saw it last week against the 49ers. They're just good enough on offense. And, Indianapolis is beat up. Richardson's out for the season now, had the shoulder surgery. So, he's done. You can put him on the shelf. Now you're talking about, Minshew for the rest of the way. I just think that the Browns defense is too strong and they'll win. Again, it'll be a baseball score, but they'll win.
I don't know, man. Like, if Gardner Minshew's going to do something this now, but I'll take the Browns. Okay. See, the game being in Indy is that sort of thing. It's like, I know the Colts are 3-3, but if Gardner Minshew wins this game for the Colts, they have a positive record. They've got New England and Frankfurt in 2 weeks. Jeff, the whole season opens up for them. I'm really torn here. I'll say the Browns, but I feel like the Colts are going to win.
What do you? My question is, why you think the Browns are done? I mean, the Browns are right. The Browns are right in the middle of that divisional race.
I think it's like a banana skin sort of slip sort of game. Like, Deshaun Watson, we're not sure what's going to happen this week. They had a great performance, a fantastic defensive performance against the Niners, but it's just, do you know when you just got something in your head and you're like, don't count out the Colts here. Like the Colts always have that one win of the season. We're like, oh yeah, okay. They're still here.
I just think that, the job that they're doing on defense right now, I mean, that was a really good, and you can say San Francisco lost this guy and lost that guy, and yes, they did, right? But they held San Francisco's offense until the last drive of the second half. They held them to 21 yards, Mike, 21 yards. And so I don't, again, I'm not taking anything away from Cleveland, certainly, but, because McCaffrey wasn't there and, Debo wasn't there and, but you still have Kittle and you still have a great offensive line. And, again, 21 yards in the National Football League. That's freaking crazy. And so I'm gonna take that defense to keep playing well and win this game for them.
Bills at the Patriots, Jeff.
It ain't gonna be close. It's gonna be a 20-point win for Buffalo.
I wrote an article on this for the Irish Star US this week. Shout out to them, boys. My sort of employers-ish. But great lads over there. And Jeff, I didn't realize New England have failed to score a touchdown on their opening possession so far this season, but they've done the exact same last season until Thanksgiving against the Vikings. They need to go into this game and put up points quickly. It's going to be very, very hard to. I think this will be the game where the crowd finally turn. They've already turned, but I think this will be the game where the crowd turn on Mac Jones completely. They'll be crying for Bailey Zappi or crying for Malik Cunningham. I think if you're in the position that the Patriots are in, fire Cunningham in the field there, see what he can do for the crack. The Bills will win this game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And like I say, I think it'll be a big win for Buffalo. And Buffalo needs a big win right now.
They do, my man. They do. Okay. Commanders and Giants, Jeff. I'm torn here. Because I could, like, if Saquon plays, like, do you know what I mean?
How much, think about it. Are you ready to bet on the Commanders as up and down as they have been this year? And just when you think that they're playing better, they have a clunker. And then 2 weeks later, they come back and they play like they did last week. So, I think Sam Howell can get them over the line. But I just think that, right now, the biggest key to that game in my mind is who wins the line of scrimmage. And the Commanders certainly should win the line of scrimmage against that really, really suspect Giants offensive line, and the Giants right now, you watch the Giants, Mike, and as I watch them, they haven't been able to incorporate Waller into the offense as much as they anticipated they would be able to do that. They've got some talent outside, but it looks disjointed. And again, what's Daniel Jones's health going to be like this week? I mean, anybody that's standing behind that offensive line is at risk because they can't block anybody.
You've sold me, Jeff. I'll take the commies. Falcons 3-3 at the Bucks 3-2. This feels like the sort of game where the Falcons have been so disappointing at home, especially at some points this season, that Bijan will go in and run all over them. I'm going to take the Bucks to win this game.
You know, there's a lot of questions in Atlanta right now about the running game. Where is the running game that was supposed to be so dynamic? You know, where you got 1,000-yard returner, running back coming back, and you go out and draft the best running back in the draft in Bijan, and it just hasn't clicked right now as everybody thought it would be. And Desmond Ritter's been a disappointment, and you can see the frustration on Arthur Smith on the sideline, and you know, he's a demonstrative guy anyway, so. You know, like I thought last week, his body language said, I'm not going to watch this stuff very much longer. I'm going to take the Bucks to bounce back. I don't think Mayfield, you know, I think he'll play better this week. And I think they still have a good defense. So I'm going to take the Bucks.
Okay, my man. Okay. Let's see. We got the Bucks on there. And Steelers at the Rams. Now, in the process of me being fair and formal, I'm taking the Rams to win this game. I think it'll be a tight game. I think the Steelers defense will try and give Matthew Stafford a hard time. I think Puka Nacua and the running game gets them over the line here. I think this could be a really exciting game. And honestly, I'm a wee bit disappointed that we don't have an option in Ireland and the UK to watch two games at once on television like Germany has. Because, yes, rightly so, the Chargers against the Chiefs, which we'll talk about in a second, is on Sky Sports. I think we should have the option of watching the second game in two windows. And this would be a game that I'd look at. I'll take the Rams to go 4-3. But yeah, this is a massive game for the Steelers as well because they have the ability here with the Bengals on a bye, the Ravens playing Alliance to really make a statement if they win.
Okay, where's the game?
SoFi, but like it's basically Pittsburgh. Do you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Not so much with the Rams. I think I'd say that if it was the Chargers, but you know, one of the first things Coach Mealb talked about to us all the time was in the National Football League, home field, no matter where you go, is worth at least 3 points. All right, so just take 3 and put it on top of the Rams right now, and you know, the Steelers, if they can do anything on offense, I think the Steelers are going to make it tough on the Rams. I really do. They can rush the passer so well. I am so concerned about the Steelers' ability to score touchdowns. And, you know, you don't see any sustained drives. You don't see, you know, they can't stay on the field. They can't block anybody in the offensive line, and they've gone and out and help themselves with better players, but they can't seem to uncork a running game. And, you know, so I'm going to take the Rams too, but I think this is going to be a real close game and a low scoring game. It'll be, if I don't know what the over and under on the game is, but I would look really hard at the under on this game.
I think if you look at certain teams, you know, if you look at the Monday Night Football, Monday night that was in Las Vegas with the Steelers and the Raiders, and the amount of Steelers fans that went to Vegas, I think you could see something similar, and that could give them an advantage. But I still feel like the Rams are going to edge this game, Jeff. So time will tell. Cardinals at Seahawks. Has to be
Hawks.
Seahawks, isn't it?
Hawks.
Packers at the Broncos.
Are you kidding me?
Well, first off, I'm taking the Seahawks. I'm taking the Packers to win this game.
I'm with you. I don't think there's any question. The Broncos just not very good, not playing very good. Can't throw it, you know. And again, you can say all you want about, you know, Peyton saying that's not directed at one guy. Well, it is directed at one guy. I mean, they're not throwing the ball at all, and he you know, you see now what happens to quarterbacks, those, you know, quarterbacks that can extend plays and do all that stuff outside the pocket. When they start to lose that ability, like Russell has, you see them get exposed for what they really truly are, which is, you know, guys that have a difficult time winning from the pocket. And I don't care what anybody says, you still have to win from the pocket in the National Football League.
Now is the time to talk about this game of the week outside of Sunday Night Football. Chargers Chiefs, Jeff. I really want to sit here and say I think that Justin Herbert is going to shut America up and go to Arrowhead and perform this week. But then you realize they're playing Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. No, I have to take the Chiefs in this. But I think it'll be like that sort of typical Chargers Chiefs game where it's close, but the Chiefs will come out on top.
I think the Chiefs will win. You know, they just went out and got McCall Hardman, bringing him back, and you know, so his transition into playing will be very easy because he knows the terminology, knows the offense, knows Pat, knows all of it. So I think that's a big plus because that's where the Chiefs have been deficient, Mike. They haven't developed, you know, a hierarchy in the passing game. You know, who's their number one? It's, you know, I can't tell you that, right? So hopefully he can fill that role when he comes back, and the Chiefs will play at the high level offensively that they haven't, you know, in a couple of weeks. But I think they're going to play well enough, certainly, to beat the Chargers. Brandon Staley is in. I mean, he is in tough right now in Los Angeles, and
plug him in, charge him up.
Charger fans are upset, and I think, you know, there's a lot of talk on Talk Sport Radio here in North America about making a change. And one of the speculative changes that was talked about was Belichick going to the Chargers. And I think that was an interesting one when I heard it was actually Christian Faria, who played for Belichick and has two Super Bowl rings, was the one that kind of broached the idea. And he talked about how, and you'll love this, Mike, because I know you love to hate the Patriots, but he talked about the fact that he thought he would not be surprised that if Mr. Kraft didn't turn over operations to his son, Jonathan, because he doesn't want to be the guy that pulls the plug on Bill Belichick, that they're too good of friends. They've been through too much together, won too many championships together. He would just move on from running the club, give it to his son, and let his son do the work. But he did say that he felt like unless they had a major change, a major turnaround, that there would be changes made in New England.
Wow. I'm not like you're talking there a minute ago about me hating on the Patriots. Like if I have my Monday night football thing, this is your thing this year for me. I look, I don't think it's the thing to hate on the Patriots to say this. They have a clinker of a team coming into town this Sunday, and they need to be ready for it. And I don't think anybody thinks that they are. If Buffalo show up, they're in big trouble. And I think, in terms of what you said, this is the week where it turns, and the fans turn. The fans have already turned, but the fans verbally turn in the stadium. That will be a stunning development if that happened. In terms of what you've said,
I fully anticipate Buffalo's going to show up because Buffalo has spent a lot of years, and those Buffalo fans and that organization have spent
13 years with how to win at one point.
A lot of years looking up at the Patriots, and now they've got a chance, you know, to return the favor. And I really believe that they'll go in there and play well and knock the Patriots out.
The Chiefs obviously playing the Chargers. Chiefs play the Miami Dolphins in, frankly, the biggest international game ever in Germany in 2 weeks' time. I'm like a child at Christmas, Jeff. I don't get that excitement for the festive season anymore. And at the minute, I cannot wait, man. It's going to be that's good. Dolphins, Eagles, Sunday Night Football. Like for anybody in the UK or Ireland, what a game. How can anybody go to bed when that's on? What a game. 5-1 Dolphins going to Philly, 5-1 Eagles. Eagles wearing the Kelly green. And I'm taking the Eagles to win. I'm going to be boring and just say the Eagles win this game.
I think the big key in this game, Mike, the big key is who wins the line of scrimmage. All right? Because the thing that the Eagles can do maybe better than anybody, and, you know, the Dolphins went up to Buffalo and they got pounded. They got physically pounded, right? And Tua got hit a bunch, and, you know, they knocked balls out. I mean, they physically attacked Miami. if the Buffalo Bills do that to you, this front seven from Philadelphia is way better, way deeper, way more talented than the Bills. And I think that's where the game will be won or lost. Miami has to find a way to mitigate the pass rush, to get the ball out of Tua's hands, to formation him, to take shots when they can and max protect and protect him. Because if he gets hit, if he gets exposed to that bunch, I mean, their defensive linemen are you go through them, Hassan Reddick all the way to Carter. I mean, it's just, they're bad men. And, I just think that's where Miami's Achilles heel is. I don't know if they're good enough in the trenches. They're great out on the perimeter. They're great. They're going to get Jalen Ramsey back, I think. They're going to be better in the secondary. They can rush off the edge. But inside, where the big boys play, where the 300-pounders put their hand in the dirt, that's going to be the key in this one. And I think Philadelphia will play better there. So I'm going to go with Philly.
What a statement it would be for McDaniel and Tua to go in to win that game if they done it. Huge statement.
Huge. If they go in there and do that, I think you've got to put them up there as
100%. The number one seed in the
league.
AFC to lose against the Chiefs.
Yeah, no question.
But Germany, imagine that.
Oh,
imagine they beat the Eagles.
The next week will be mad. It'll be absolutely mad. And think about that. If both of those teams win this weekend and they go into that game, it'll be like the preview for the AFC Championship game. That's what everybody's going to be calling it. And all of the attention in the world is going to get focused on Frankfurt in that game.
Here we go, man. Yeah, that's going to be good. The night before the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship, you're in Cork.
A sold out Cork.
A sold out, and then the night after it, you're in Dundalk. Anyway, the night after Sunday Night Football.
Monday Night Football!
We've got Monday Night Football. We've got the big one, the 49ers against the Vikings. It's in Minnesota. I'm going to be boring and just sum this up very quickly. The Niners win this game. The run.
I agree. I think Niners much better football team. Obviously, they're stung a little bit from stubbing their toe in Cleveland, and that was a greasy, nasty game, bad weather, all that. They're going to be playing indoors, climate control game. I think it's going to be Niners will beat them by 10 points.
That's the picks done. So Jeff, say goodbye, and we'll come back to the questions.
Aloha, folks. Stay with us, and again, if you have not gotten your tickets to our
billet,
our billets. Come on, will you stop Spanish?
Sorry. Entradas in Spanish.
Okay.
Espanol.
But tickets to our Irish tour, there are still 4 stops with tickets available. Make sure you go to Linktree/Reinebold and get your tickets now. And for all of us here at the Jeff Reinebold Show, we're saying aloha.
Okay, Jeff, it's time for the best part of the week. This meal bag. Open it up, my man. Open it up.
Dig in there and get me one, because I need questions. I want to talk ball.
Welcome, everyone, to the mailbag segment. In case you're wondering what the hell's going on in the podcast. Friday morning on the podcast, Thursday night live on the video. Shout out to everybody that's been live in the comments, and please do continue to get your questions in, folks. We've got Fred, hi Fred, who says, how big a win was last week's game for both Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy? 4-2 reads better than 3-3. He's damn right there, Jeff.
He's right on, absolutely right on. Huge win. Doesn't take all the pressure off those guys, but certainly when you're 4-2, that's you're way more confident than you are at 3-3. And I thought that Dak played well. I thought he played within the scheme. I thought the zone read play for the 18-yard touchdown run, I think that's his longest run in a long time, was a beautiful call and outstanding execution. The Cowboys, again, yes, they still have some challenges. Yes, they still have some holes, but the Cowboys are a dangerous team because when they're playing well and that defense, Parsons and that defense are flying around, they can play with anybody in the National Football League. And they can also lose to anybody in the National Football League, as we've seen with the Arizona Cardinals when they don't show up. And, again, if you're a Cowboy fan, you cross your fingers, every time they go out to play because you don't know what you're going to get.
Next question is from Rory Fitzgerald.
Where's Rory from?
Rory's from Ireland.
Right.
Rory was talking about this Mahid. So he said in the UK, Germany, and Spain are three of the big five by population. France and Italy remain. Are we hamstrung by our population when competing for a game? He's talking about Ireland. No, Rory, because we've got something that nobody else has, and that's the heritage to this island, which we can't stress enough is big. I think we got a game, Rory. I'm not putting my career in line by saying that. I think we'll get a game by the end of the decade.
Personally. I think, Mike, here's the thing. Yes, that's a easy thing to point at and say, well, it's population based and that's why Madrid's getting a game or whatever. But let me just say this. It's not lost on the NFL and the NFL teams, particularly the Steelers, about the passion and the roots and the history and the sporting history between the United States and Ireland. And you have two beautiful stadiums that can take NFL games. You've sold out college games. It's been proven that there's a market in this country. And I think what we're doing, and I'm not off base when I say this. I think what we're showing every week in the popularity of this podcast, the fact we sold out 2 of our 6 shows already, and we're not coming till January. All of those things, the NFL watches all of that. And so when they see that appetite is there in Ireland. And now, thanks to Tag Leader and some of the pioneers at getting players over there, we've got Irish kids playing college football in the United States. All of those things point in the right direction. And I don't want to understate the fact that the NFL watches all of this extremely closely.
They do. And it would be amiss of me not to tell people that are listening to this that Jeff is bang on completely. They're watching everything. They see everything. They see everything. Everything, Jeff. Even the birds behind you. They actually do. They're watching everything. They're listening to everything. And fair play to them. Smash mouthing football. Hi there. What can the Commanders do to stop Sam Howell taking so much punishment? Maybe they could do what Jeff does to his laptop, Jeff, and
throw it out. I'm not throwing Sam Howell out. No, that's a great question. That's a great football question. I think some of it has to be shared amongst a couple of things. Number one, they've got to get ahead on the chains early so that he's not facing 2nd and long and 3rd and long where he can be pressured and he's going to see all kinds of disguises. And then I think it's incumbent. And I think Eric Bieniemy's done a great job with the Commanders offense in his first year. But I think that he needs to continue to push the envelope with formations and, plays that have RPO type plays that have multiple, consequences, and give Sam Howell as few full field reads as you possibly can. Now, he's shown that he can do that, right? I'm not saying he can't, but it's simpler for him when he knows where to go with the ball fast. And I can remember June Jones, who played quarterback in the NFL and was a head coach twice in the NFL and one of the best quarterback guys I've ever been around. And one of the things he always said to the quarterbacks, I can remember it every single day, know where you got to go with the ball quick. And I think that's big in the development of a young quarterback like Sam Howell.
I lost the mute button there. Jeff, do you feed the birds?
No, these birds are plenty well fed on this big island. Mike, this place is like living in it's like living in the jungle. It really is. I mean, it's like so dense and so rich, and sun shines every day. It rains. Like we just had a little rain shower right there, and so all the animals are out now. It's awesome. What's
Clive
up, Clive?
Underhill
How
from
you doing,
London.
man? Good to have Clive Underhill with us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clive, welcome in and hope you enjoyed the game last week. You said late to the show as you started early and didn't tell me. That's Jeff's fault, Clive, not mine. Question about the Bears. I'm guessing that they're going to have a top 2 pick next year. Do they stick with Justin Fields or go to QB? Clive Lundres, Jeff.
Well, that's a really interesting question, Clive. And again, if you're gonna go away from Fields, and I don't know because I'm not in that building. I'm not on the practice field. I'm not, but what I see from him is a lack of development. Now, some of that's because they're not very good around him, right? And it's a bad football team, and there's a bad mojo right now in Chicago. What they're going to have to decide is if you go away from him, and let's say you take one of the two, if they're in the top 2, you take a quarterback. I think the guy that they want, or everybody seems to want, is the kid at USC. But you're going to have to trade up to the first pick if you don't have it to get him, I think. And he's an outstanding player, tremendous college quarterback. But you're going to have to commit yourself to putting weapons around him at a more rapid pace than they were able to do for Justin Fields. And it's a shame, in my mind, that here he is 3 or 4 years into the league, and people are even talking about the fact they're going to throw him away. And and again, I'm not in the building. I don't see the practice tape, but the game tape that I watch is just, I don't see a guy that's developed as a passer very much since he's come to pro football.
Love it, Jeff. Bear down. Bear up, bear down, bear down. Dave from Limerick. You're going to Limerick soon, Jeffrey.
Yes, we are, Dave. I hope we see you
January.
in Limerick. If you haven't got your tickets, get them now.
It's either going to be on that date, or if something happens, it could be a Championship Sunday. Could you imagine that in Limerick? Hey. Dave from Limerick. Jeff, have you hit any waves yet? Looks awesome there. Is he talking about radio, Jeff? Or
no, he's talking about ocean waves. Yes, I have, and I'm going to go as soon as this broadcast is over, because I got to catch a plane at 4:00 today to start heading back to Canada, and I want to get in the ocean one more time. So, surfboard's loaded. I'm ready to go. Just going to finish these questions, and then we're out. And by the way, David, it is awesome here. If you ever get a chance, come see us on the Big Island.
Are you going to miss the Thursday night football of the year tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to be flying from Honolulu to Vancouver while Thursday night football is on, and I'll have to get the score when we land in Vancouver.
I'll text you the score, but there's a good chance I could be sleeping. I'm going to watch the first hour. I love that Thursday night football theme tune. Fred Flunk, there's a romanticism between the USA and Ireland. There is Jeff. There is Fred and Jeff. Gur. Hi, lads. Hope ye are well. Who do you both think are dark horse teams to make the playoffs outside the favourites / division leaders? I'm going to jump in here and say the New York Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back in December and lead them to the playoffs.
Well, I think that there's a lot of talk about that because he was on the field throwing before the game the other night. I kind of like Houston as a dark horse to make the playoffs. I mean, they're playing pretty doggone good football, and they're pretty well balanced. And, C.J. Stroud as a rookie, probably, I don't think there's any question he's the best rookie quarterback in the league playing today. I mean, Bryce has struggled, Bryce Young in Carolina. And Richardson's hurt. So, when you look at this bunch of rookies, again, right now, you'd have to take C.J. Stroud without a doubt. And I think that gives them a chance to get to the playoffs.
Last question tonight. Can I just thank everyone for not just being here? Jeff obviously very rudely changed time this week and nobody knew it was that. I'm joking, Jeff. But thanks for everyone coming in. It's been a crack. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time, Jeff. Just going to let everybody know in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare because I am in España, learning my Monday Night Football Spanish. And we're probably going to be pre-recorded that week, but
What
leave it with.
what date is that? Is that November 7th?
It's a week before Frankfurt, so it's like October the 31st that week.
Okay, well that's our final week of the season, and then we start the playoffs. So we'll get it. You know, we're not gonna
We'll get our
miss
4
the show.
podcasts done. Don't worry, folks. We'll find a way. I promise, and Jeff promises also. If he has to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do it, he has to do it.
Done that before.
We have done it before. David Jackson, Super Bowl winners. And oh God, I thought Jeff was gone there. Super Bowl winners, go. I'm going to be bored and say the Eagles over the Chiefs. Rematch of last year with the Eagles win. Jeff, your audio is gone. Oh my God, and you're not on mute. Okay, right. This is going to be fun. So we can't hear you, so I'm gonna have to get your answer somehow and then end the show. So give me a thumbs up if you think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
Me?
Oh, it's working now. Thank God. Okay, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I could I see the Chiefs win the Super Bowl? Yes, right. But I could see the Lions win the Super Bowl. I mean, I think it's one of these. This is one of those crazy years. You know, if you know who's going to jump up, I think, and we talked about this a little bit on the show, on the regular show. You know who's has the potential to jump up into the driver's seat real fast is the Dolphins. If they go up to Philly and they beat Philadelphia, especially if they score a lot of points against Philadelphia, I think a lot of people are going to start anointing them as the number one contender. I think 49ers I agree with Clive. I think the 49ers are a team you got to take a hard look at. The Lions are certainly playing extremely well. Can they keep that magic going for 10 more weeks? We'll see, right? But right now, at this point in the season, and there's still way too much football to play to call it, but I like what the Lions are all about.
I love it. We'll talk more about it on Monday night. I can't wait for it, Jeff. Are we back to our normal time zone next week?
Yes, we are. We'll be. I'll be in Toronto on at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and then we will be back until after the playoffs, and then after that, Mike, we'll be just across the Irish Sea from one another.
And we'll definitely, for people watching this in the UK, we're in Glasgow November the 25th. I actually just booked a flight this week. We're in Manchester the week after. Glasgow's venue will be announced next week around then. Chilled venue during the day. Jeff will be there. I'll be there. It'll be a bit of crack. Looking forward to it. And then obviously Jeff's got an Irish tour going to Derry, to Belfast, to Galway, to Limerick, to Cork, to Dublin, and Dundalk.
Dundalk. We got to sell out Dundalk. We're on a mission to sell out Dundalk.
Now you're a Dundalkin. Jeff, say goodnight to us.
Aloha.
Everyone have a great weekend. Have a good one.
Monday Night Football!